Okay, let's unpack this. We are diving into a place where you can smell the spices from the Grand Bazaar, mixing with, the salt in the air from the sea, and you hear the cry of seagulls.
And then the azan, the call to prayer, echoing off these massive domes that were once Christian cathedrals.
It's Istanbul, the city that's carried 4 empires on its back, and it's changed its name 3 times?
3 times. Byzantium, then Constantinople, and now Istanbul.
It's just, the layers are incredible.
And if we really connect this to the bigger picture, we are looking at probably the single most strategic piece of real estate on the entire planet. I mean, its story isn't just local.
No, not at all.
It shaped global trade, it shaped religion, warfare for 2,000 years. There's that famous Napoleon quote.
Oh, right. That if the world were a single empire,
then Bull would do its capital.
Gotcha.
It would have to be.
And you get it the second you stand there. You're on the Bosphorus Strait, and you've got Europe on one side, Asia on the other. You feel it.
It's the ultimate crossroads.
It really is. It's this mosaic of identities where East literally meets West, where Orthodox Christianity and Islam once, fiercely competed.
And now they sort of merge into this unique cultural DNA. It's fascinating.
But like any huge story, it has to start somewhere.
And for Istanbul, that start is way back. We're talking 667 BC with a trip to the Oracle.
Right, the founding myth of Byzantium. I love this story. A Greek settler, a guy named Bezos of Megara, he goes to the Oracle of Delphi for advice.
As one did.
And the command he gets back is, well, it's pretty cryptic. Build your city opposite the blind men.
It's a classic riddle, isn't it? So Bezos, he sails up to the Bosphorus, and he sees a settlement already there on the Asian shore. Chalcedon. But then he looks across the water and he sees this perfect, defensible peninsula on the European side.
Protected by this incredible natural harbor, the Golden Horn.
Exactly. And he has that aha moment. The people of Chalcedon.
Right.
They were the blind men. They had the first choice and completely missed the perfect spot.
And that perfect spot is where he builds Byzantium. It was a solid Greek trading post for a long time, but it wasn't a global superpower.
Not yet. That doesn't happen until the Roman world starts to crack at the seams.
So what was the big pivot?
The pivot is it's an act of sheer audacity. It's the early 4th century, and Rome is this sprawling, vulnerable empire. And Emperor Constantine the Great, he's just won these brutal civil wars.
He needs a fresh start, a new center of power.
He needs a fresh start, and he needs a capital that's defensible. So he looks east, he sees Byzantium, and in 330 AD, he just moves the whole thing. The entire imperial capital.
Well, he doesn't just move it, he rebuilds it from the ground up. He pours a fortune into it.
A staggering amount of money. He renames it
New
Rome.
Though everyone ends up calling it Constantinople.
The city of Constantine, yeah. And he builds these huge palaces, an enormous hippodrome that could hold like over 100,000 people.
Wow.
And maybe most importantly, he makes Christianity legal. He's building this idea of heavenly power on earth.
So this is the move that really changes everything for the West.
Fundamentally. Because when the Western Roman Empire finally falls apart, a century and a half later,
Constantinople just keeps going.
It stands firm. It becomes the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire, what we call the Byzantine Empire. It carries on Roman law, Greek philosophy, and this new Christian faith.
And it really hits its peak a couple of centuries later under Emperor Justinian I.
The 6th century.
Yeah. And if you want to see that power and that wealth in physical form, you just have to look at one building. The Hagia Sophia?
The Hagia Sophia. I mean, the Church of the Holy Wisdom. It wasn't just a church. It was a statement to the world.
The engineering behind it was space age for its time.
Absolutely radical. When they figured out how to put that enormous dome up there and make it look like it was floating on a ring of light with no visible central support.
It must have seemed like a miracle.
It did. And the legend is that when Justinian finally saw it completed, he walked in, looked up, and just said, "Solomon, I have surpassed you."
Referring to the first temple in Jerusalem, that's some serious confidence.
Well, it was the fusion of divine ambition and imperial power.
So that brings up a really important question. Rome fell. Why did Constantinople survive for another 1,000 years?
The answer is stone and engineering. It's the Theodosian walls.
And these weren't just, simple walls around a city.
No. This was a monumental 3-layered defense-in-depth system. You had a wide moat, then a low outer wall, and behind that, a massive inner wall with towers. It stretched for 6.5 kilometers.
So it was a fortress.
It was the fortress of the medieval world.
Uh-huh.
For more than 800 years, they were basically impenetrable. The Huns tried, the Persians tried, huge Arab armies tried.
And they all failed.
They all failed. From a land assault, the city was considered completely inviolable.
And here's the most heartbreaking part of the story. The irony is just, it's crushing. The city that no foreign enemy could conquer.
It's crippled by its own, by fellow Christians.
The Fourth Crusade in 1204.
It's a tragic turning point. The Crusaders, who were Western European Catholics, were supposed to be on their way to Jerusalem.
But because of some very messy politics and a huge debt they owed to the Venetian fleet.
They get diverted.
And instead of fighting Muslims in the Holy Land, they turned their armies on the biggest, richest Christian city in the world. They sacked it.
The brutality was unbelievable. For 3 days, they looted, murdered, and just destroyed 900 years of accumulated art and knowledge.
They stole everything that wasn't nailed down. Those famous bronze horses you see in Venice today at St. Mark's Basilica.
They're from Constantinople, ripped from the hippodrome.
So what did that mean long term?
It was devastating. The sack created this deep, permanent rift between the Catholic West and the Orthodox East, a wound that never healed. And it left the Byzantine Empire fatally weakened.
They eventually got the city back, right?
They did in 1261, but it was just a shadow of its former self. A hollowed-out city, really, just waiting for the final blow.
And that blow comes in the 15th century. By this point, the Byzantine Empire is basically just the city itself, surrounded by this huge, powerful Ottoman Turkish Empire.
And all eyes are on the new Sultan, Mehmed II. He's only 21 years old, and he is obsessed with taking this city.
He knew it was the ultimate prize, and he brings this enormous army, maybe 100,000 Ottoman troops.
Against what, 7,000 defenders, maybe?
The odds were just insane, but the walls were still the walls.
Right. But here's where it gets really interesting. Mehmed wasn't going to play by the old rules. He was all about new technology.
He hires a Hungarian engineer,
A guy named Urban. And he gets him to build a new kind of weapon. A super cannon.
the game changer, the basilica.
This thing was a monster. A bronze cannon that could fire stone balls weighing over 600 kilograms. It was designed for one purpose.
To break the Theodosian walls.
It finally broke them. And the siege begins in 1453. For 53 days, they pound the walls. But it wasn't just the cannon, it was strategy.
This part is unbelievable. The Golden Horn, the city's harbor, was blocked by a massive chain. No enemy ship could get in.
So what does Mehmed do? In one of the most incredible feats in military history, he has his men drag over 70 warships.
Overland.
Overland. On greased logs, up and down a hill, completely bypassing the chain and dropping them right into the harbor behind the city's weakest defenses.
That move just sealed their fate.
It was over. On May 29, 1453, the walls were finally breached. The last Byzantine emperor, Constantine XI, is said to have thrown off his royal gear and just charged into the battle as a regular soldier.
And died with his city, the end of the Roman Empire, after more than 1,500 years.
And the global impact was immediate. Many historians point to this moment as its symbolic end of the Middle Ages, and all these Greek scholars fled the city.
Right, and they went west to Italy.
Taking all their ancient books and knowledge with them. And that injection of classical learning helped light the fuse for the Renaissance.
So when Sultan Mehmed, now Mehmed the Conqueror, rides into the city, his first act is to go straight to the Hagia Sophia.
And in this incredibly symbolic move, he converts it into a mosque. He doesn't tear it down.
No, he preserves it. He just has the Christian mosaics plastered over, and over time they add the minarets. It's this perfect symbol of one civilization being layered on top of another.
And the city's name changes. It becomes Istanbul, which actually comes from a Greek phrase, is ten polin. It just means into the city.
I love that.
What's really fascinating is that the Ottomans didn't just conquer it, they breathed new life into it. Mehmed makes it his capital and encourages people from all over the empire to move there.
And that's where the millet system comes in, right?
Exactly. It was this really innovative system of governance. It let minority communities, Jews, Armenians, Greeks, run their own affairs, their own schools, their own courts.
As long as they paid their taxes and accepted Ottoman rule.
Right. And it made Istanbul, for a time, one of the most diverse and cosmopolitan cities on earth.
And the city hits its absolute peak under Suleiman the Magnificent in the 16th century.
And you can't talk about that era without talking about the architect who defined the city's skyline, Mehmed.
The Ottoman Michelangelo.
The perfect comparison. His masterpiece, the Sultan Mosque, is just breathtaking. It's like he's having a conversation across the centuries with the builders of the Hagia Sophia.
And if we look inside the palace, inside Topkapi, the power structure isn't always what it seems. We have to talk about the harem.
It's often misunderstood in the West as just this place of, pleasure, but it was a serious political institution, especially during a period called the Sultanate of Women.
You see these women wielding immense political power, like the story of Roxolana.
Sultan. She was a slave from what's now Ukraine, who completely captivated Suleiman. She shattered tradition by becoming his legal wife, and she absolutely shaped imperial policy.
But as we've seen, no empire lasts forever. By the 18th and 19th centuries, the Ottoman Empire is in decline.
Corruption, nationalism in its provinces. And the Western powers start calling it the sick man of Europe.
You can see these desperate attempts to modernize, to look more European. The Orient Express starts running from Paris, bringing people like Agatha Christie to the Para Palace Hotel.
But it's all surface level. The deep problems are still there.
And the final humiliation is World War I. The Ottomans are on the losing side. And in 1918, Istanbul is occupied by Allied forces. It was a source of profound shame.
But that tragedy gives rise to a national hero, Mustafa Kemal,
who becomes Ataturk, the father of the Turks. He leads the War of Independence, kicks out the occupiers, abolishes the Sultanate, and in 1923 creates the modern, secular Republic of Turkey.
And in one of the most radical moves of all, to break with the imperial past.
He moves the capital.
He moves the capital inland to Ankara. And Istanbul, for the first time in 1,600 years, is no longer the center of an empire. It's left to just reflect.
Which brings us to this modern idea of the city's soul. The writer Orhan Pamuk talks about this feeling of huzun.
It's a Turkish word. It means a kind of collective melancholy, a beautiful sadness that comes from living among the ruins of a much grander past.
But today, Istanbul feels like it's found a new kind of energy. It's a massive, booming metropolis of, 16 million people now?
At least. And those giant suspension bridges, the underwater rail tunnel connecting the continents, it's still the eternal bridge.
You see it everywhere. The glass skyscrapers of the business district right next to 500-year-old mosques, young people in modern clothes walking past women in traditional hijabs.
It's a city of constant, beautiful friction.
But the biggest challenge the city faces today is, ironically, directly tied to the very thing that made it great: its geography.
And this raises a really important question. What's its greatest modern threat? Well, the chaotic growth has led to just crippling traffic. But the real danger is geological.
It sits right on a major fault line, the North Anatolian Fault.
And scientists are very clear about this. A massive earthquake is not a question of if, but when. And it's predicted to happen within the next 30 years.
So the very ground that gave it its strategic advantage could be its undoing.
Its greatest strength is also its greatest vulnerability.
So we've gone from Beza's prophecy to Constantine's new Rome, through Mehmed's conquest and Ataturk's new republic. It really is a city where every single step you take is on layers and layers of history.
Yeah, I think. What stands out most to me is that the story of Istanbul teaches us that no empire, no matter how powerful, lasts forever. But the human drive to create, to adapt, to rebuild, that seems to be immortal.
So as you think about this incredible history, consider that central idea. The geographic advantage of the Bosphorus made the city unconquerable for centuries. Now that same geography creates its biggest challenges: the traffic, the earthquake risk. So think about your own life or your work. Is there a great strength you have that, if you look at it from a different angle, might also be your most significant weakness?
For today, we step back from the Bosphorus. We hope you join us next time for another deep dive into the source material.